I know one is like an open secret, but there's one I can't wait for you to meet because she's doing fantastic things across Africa.
That's good.
Fantastic. All right, let me go with my headline first. And my headline is from the front page of the Guardian newspaper. And it says 2027 computer-based test targets. Less than 30% public schools have computer labs, ICT-savvy pupils. This is something that we've talked about on this table for a long time. And the statistics are there. And I really just wanted to share some of those statistics. Only 28.75% of senior secondary students have basic computer proficiency. 7% Nigerians between 15 and 24 have IT skills. And 2027 CBT deadline is overly ambitious, say stakeholders. And I think this echoes the thoughts of so many people, especially going by the failure in some of the exams, and how it's boiled down to the fact that it's not that I know there's a lot of laziness out there, there's social media distraction, but there's also still the part where we have not prepared our young people enough before we actually ventured into this whole CBT
and you
test.
know that like about 16, 17 years ago, I know that there was this ambitious, especially schools in the urban areas, but at the end of the day, what happened to those, computers?
Yes.
So are the teachers themselves,
are they educated enough to use them? Are they literate? Yes.
Are they computer literate? And what is how do we, manage these assets? How do we manage them in a way that it won't be pilfered, it won't be stolen, it won't be because these are issues.
Yes, I know schools where they have, it's like their computer lab is like a museum.
Yes.
The students are not even allowed to touch them.
Oh, yes. Even in some universities, yes, the computers there are not allowed to be used by students because, so maybe we need to, there's some other issues beyond buying computers that we need to discuss, damages, people often say that we don't have maintenance culture in Nigeria. Damages, the teachers themselves, are they computer literate, thefts, are there enough security personnel, to guard these things in schools, because if you take computers to, let's say, Igbolerin or Kumakpai that does not have fence, that, they can be stolen.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, it's
so we need to look at these issues before we start talking about buying computers. Let the teachers themselves, let them be trained, in some of these things,
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so you've mentioned some issues. There are sometimes that government or even old students buy computers, laptops for certain schools. They are pilfered, they are broken, they are damaged, but those things, I mean, doesn't stop us from looking at ways, because I mean, we should, 2025, a lot of private schools, we know that oftentimes when we have this conversation, we're leaving out the public schools. When we talk about AI, how many people even know of, basic computer skills, not to talk of AI. So the government needs to do.
So they need to, it's beyond buying computers. Like I said, about 18 years ago, I know some state governments that bought computers, and put in schools like me. I don't want to mention names, but I mean, what happened to them?
So true. So true. All right. So what is your headline?
Okay. So my headline is from, it's from,
it's talking about the gentleman who,
it's from Business Day about Professor.
Okay, so it's in the paper somewhere.
Nigerian archaeologist wins $300,000 than David Price. I mean, his name is Dr. Abiodun. I read it yesterday and I was like, this is so good. It's the second Nigerian that will be winning that prize award. The first one was Professor Said Ademito, who is an amazing historian, And I like it because we only get to hear about STEM, we don't, because you cannot function in the world without humanities. It's not everybody that will study computer or even or STEM, any of the STEM courses. It's not everybody that would be technology. But this particular prize, shows that, so he's an archaeologist and he won the prize was given to him based on his research work that Yoruba people have been making glass beads before the European, before colonialism. So what he needed to do was that take samples from Ife, Olokun, whatever. Take samples, and so they had to use science, to say that, because it's also archaeology is a mixture of science and art. You know, you are excavating
old, like ancient.
Yes, ancient. So, and you are saying that no, this thing is dated about 1,000 years. So that's what he was able to do.
I know
so he used, you know, he did so many things
the
in
research
the labs.
Yes. I know what I love about it, because oftentimes people say that a lot of our PhD students are only looking for looking for solutions, doing research that will bring solutions for us as a country.
Or talk about things that, you know, we need to research about. How would I put it now? Things that I want to know: history, ancient history. What was obtainable in the Roman Empire? I want to know those things, you know, and because knowing these things also makes you to be able to think, to function well as a human, you know, and all. So it's not everybody that would naturally be in the STEM. So this is a very good. So if you are a parent,
other people,
if you're a parent and your child is studying archaeology and you are saying that, you know, or anthropology. So one of the courses that one of the things I need to do maybe before I turn 50 is to go for, you know, do medical sociology. It's not because of anything, you know. I just want to understand the myths. I want to talk about myths that surrounds women's health, you know. So yeah, menopause. You know, some people, the way menopause, you know, treats them is very
different from
it's
other
very
people.
wide, you know. Some people would say that it makes them feel like, I ain't shower. You know what I mean? They are being that it's a spiritual attack. So I want to demystify those myths, you know, around women's health, especially in rural areas and you know.
Absolutely. And I think that's what research should be about. There's so much mystery, especially on everything concerning Africa, that we need people who will actually demystify a lot of these things.
I mean, they are talking about
even mental health has been demystified. Before in the past, they will say Ayen Shieni or somebody's doing soilata. But now it's been demystified. So I hope that we have more people like him.
Or like this archaeology, every single time, Ibadan, I'm from Ibadan, and Ibadan is 200 years. You know, I'm like, where did my great-grandparents come from? You know, before I know.
Who's doing research about this?
A lot of people don't care. Africans don't care about those things. So, like I said, we can't all be STEM professionals. Some of us like history and
we matter. And those areas are valid.
So if your child is studying sociology or, you know, or archaeology,
get them representation like this so they can see that there's a future.
That's why I said this is a very good win for he graduated from University of Ibadan. The first African recipient who graduated from University of Ibadan. He graduated from the Department of Archaeology. The previous one graduated from
and he got
$300,000. Yes,
that's some good money. So I'm glad that people like that have been rewarded. You know, so well. Interesting. Today's headlines have left us with food for thought, but we'll have to move on to our big conversation. And this conversation is going to challenge a few norms and unpack a lot of hidden biases. So don't go anywhere. When we return, the big conversation begins and it gets into full swing. So please stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching The Big Conversation, and today we're shedding light on something far too many women experience: discrimination simply for being single. A friend recently shared how she was denied an apartment because the landlord insisted on seeing her husband. True story. Not her ID. They should have asked for her ID. Nope. But they asked for her husband. Not proof of income. Nope. But her husband. So let's talk and let's ask the hard questions. Why does society still attach a woman's respectability to marital status? What assumptions are made about single women? That they are reckless, unstable, or morally suspect? And how does this affect everything from job opportunities to renting a home to getting a loan? Join us as our guest comes on board. She is Omodolakpo Jayola, the director of Go Women Africa and the brain tank behind the Affluent Women's Brand, a branding agency. And she stands as a fervent advocate for the girl child education. Her organization, Go Women Africa, is dedicated to fostering women's representation in leadership roles, underpinned by her extensive background in charity and youth empowerment initiatives. Hello, Dolakpo. Good to have you here.
Hi, Ronnie.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Finally. Thank you for
I know.
having me.
With
Hi.
all you're doing, sometimes you come across as if you're a shy person. Please tell me you're not shy, because you're doing so much at the forefront for women.
I think it's a balance of both.
Yeah.
I'm an ambivert. I like to call myself that because then sometimes I'm whole out, and most times I enjoy my privacy.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Fantastic. And I think, this conversation we're having, I like that you represent women a lot.
Yeah.
I like this conversation because, I don't know, I think I've had my fair share of, I'm what you consider as married late.
Okay.
So and I know this is my eye. Let me do, sorry. This is my eye. So, before, that MRS.
Yeah.
So and that's why I've always been just very particular about ensuring I'm very open about giving grace to younger single people, checking in with single people and trying to find out, are you okay? Because why is Africa so hostile to the single women? Funola?
Like you said, what your eyes saw.
Funola's eye too has seen.
I have a friend that once wrote it on Facebook that, she went to the bank and someone asked for her name and she said, Mrs. Do. And the person looked at her and she was like, do you know what I went through?
To get this MRS.
To get this title. Honestly, the reason why I'm not flaunting it.
Where's your ring, Funola? How dare you?
It.
Oh, Lord. Really? After all you've been through?
So I think that you didn't mention...
Just joking, by the way. Yeah,
you didn't mention something about... You didn't mention visa interview.
Really?
Most times you are denied, visas
because they say you don't have a strong support.
There's no tie, that you don't have any tie. And I'm like, okay, so in your village or in your country or wherever, are there no single women, who chose to be single?
Yes.
Is it that, did it take anything away from them?
Right.
Thank God I'm married. But, the experience is better,
when you're married.
Better. No. Okay. The experience is better heard than felt because it is truly shaggy. People will not respect you. Drivers, staff, even your staff. I know I used to have an agency, a marketing agency that two of my staff, they were misbehaving. I had to call a friend.
Wow.
To come and let me talk to them because they will respect him more than me.
Oh my goodness.
If a man is shouting at a man, a fellow man, nobody will say anything. But if you're a woman, you are shouting at a man, you are disrespectful.
Okay, this story is, I know it's a big one, but Dolakpo, I know you were at one time shared with me, what happened when you were trying to get an apartment as well.
I was going to say that was my story.
Yeah.
I can relate. Of course, it's just a lot out there. Knowing that sometimes you're not even sure why that's the perspective that they share, and that's what their opinion is, right? But then you just have to flow with it. That's what I then,
But we have to flow with it. Flowing with it, is it not? Because I always think about the things I accept and things I don't accept, and I'm not just thinking about myself. A lot of times I turn some things into scattering the tables, because I realized that I want to make it easiasier for
I wanted
people.
to say mechanisms. Yeah,
Yes.
there are mechanisms of flowing with it. It's not that you just accept it.
Okay.
You know, it's just going to be like, there's going to be that time of bass boost, like that kind of crazy that you kind of put in just to ensure that, you know, I don't accept this. This is not acceptable. I know the apartments I wanted to do, the present one I'm actually in right now. Before I could get it, that was the same situation.
Wow.
Yes. Can we meet your husband? You know, that kind of thing. And can he sign? If you can't sign, can you video call us? That kind of thing. Yeah, you know. So that's why when I say you flow with it, you just kind of like put in mechanisms and find a way to ensure that, well, you know, this house, I'm getting this house. Yeah. I have my eye on it, you know, I'm definitely getting it. So, and then you kind of put in, but then if you want to go against, because this was a woman, can I tell you that?
Wow.
Yeah, that woman was actually, you know, she actually took me by surprise. She's a lawyer, she's a pastor, and, you know, when she gave all those criteria, like I said, I run an NGO. Don't you believe that I can afford this? You know, it was like, it's not about you being able to afford it, you know, sustainability. How do you pay for the next word? And I'm like, okay.
So they think that a woman
do you think a man can just all of us automatically afford house rent just because?
Yeah. You know, it's just like this actress that, you know, that the one that went viral recently. I don't want to mention name for having acquired so much wealth, properties, a car, and then, you know, like, are you supposed? You don't look like you should be able to afford that by yourself since you're not married, and also a woman. Technically, a lot of people actually believe that women cannot afford certain things, and then they try to tie it to men, our accomplishments, you know, and it's so sad because women go all the way to be all of those things, and then still there has to be a man in that corner.
Yes,
I wanted to ask, when does it start? I know that when you're still 21, people still, I know this in 2025, the bar has sort of, the pressure has started earlier than when, because I know at 25 I wasn't feeling that much pressure, but I see 22-year-olds who are already, when are you bringing?
So sometimes people also try to, you know,
put pressure on themselves.
I know people that when we were in school, they were so, I mean, so for example, I did not feel any pressure until maybe towards where maybe towards close to 40, where I've never experienced that. When I was turning 30, I used to tell people that I was just traveling, you know, around, you know, taking pictures, enjoying myself. I wasn't even bothered about marriage, you know. So until maybe I still was not really bothered about marriage until, you know, until I married, you know, I was I was thinking about, you know, having my own children, you know, so that was the only thing that I was thinking about, not you know.
I want just to say, I don't think it's about the age. You understand? I don't think it's when, because we have some people that they are 18 and they already they want to settle.
Yes, they want.
So I think
I know people that
are normal.
Yes.
Because what do you know at 18?
At it, of course.
They don't want to become spinsters like us.
They don't want to like us, exactly. Spinsters like us. But they're supposed to be like the bad example.
Yes, exactly.
You know, yes. Once you eat 30, you're that bad example.
Yeah, exactly. That people also say, you know, like in the intro, you said something about, you know, people start suspecting you that there's something fundamentally wrong with you. And that's why you are not married.
Yes.
Do you get it? Someone wrote I was in a group on Facebook. A man said, okay, they said the man was unmarried, maybe at the age of 42 or thereabouts, and come and see how people were dragging them. And that's a red flag. Don't marry this man.
So men
42. They do. So don't marry that man. You are, you know, I think the man was 42. The lady he wanted to marry was about 28. So it was like, he left all his kiniko, and you know, he's looking for someone that he can control. You know, so they say, and I'm like, who's 42 for a man? I mean, my husband was 46 when we got married, and he had never been married before.
Wow.
And I got married at the age of 42, you know, and I had never been married before. Now, you cannot say that. So, and I said, what about a woman that, you know what someone said?
Yes.
Said, what's wrong with the person? People don't believe that you are okay.
Yes.
That's
well, maybe because I want to say, because most of the time I'm also thinking, why is a guy that's 42? Because you are, most of in Africans, the man has the first pick. It's us ladies that have to wait. So if a lady is still 42 and hasn't married, most of the time I'm like, what do you want her to do? Do you want her to go and
many reasons?
But when a man has not, I'm thinking, what is the issue?
I've had
that mindset as well.
So people have also told me that, okay, are you very picky?
Yes.
And
They
so,
ask you,
yeah.
yes.
So they will say that. So you can't know. We don't know. We don't know.
I agree.
This thing happens.
I agree.
You
But
know,
I also
people
would,
told me
yes.
that, oh, it's because you are picky. Oh, you are looking for someone that is this. You are looking for someone. Are you saying that, oh, every day there is nobody that asks you out?
Yes.
Are you saying? So they will save that for a woman. So what if the man did not find someone that he wanted?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's talk about some of your, because you mentioned visa, and I didn't even think about that.
Yes.
Maybe because I didn't think about, really, I didn't think about that. I just felt like, okay, maybe because maybe your account statements, obviously they look at how much you have in your account, but I do remember now that I got a rejection when I was single. But I didn't realize it was because I was married. I just thought, okay, maybe my account statement did not share enough that I had enough.
So the last time I applied for Schengen visa,
yes,
I know. So I had about 4 million naira in my account. I obviously have a good job.
Yes.
I showed them everything.
Wow.
And I showed them that I was great, and I was supposed to go on holiday with my boyfriend. You know, then. So they rejected it, and I know that was the reason. Said I could not provide them with enough proof.
Yes.
You know that I had a child.
Yes.
That I had a
Somebody
child.
can come back to here.
So if I had a child,
yes,
they would not have, you know, rejected the visa. If I had a husband, they would not have rejected the visa.
Can I say that's also the reason why a lot of parents actually leave their kids here?
Really? Yes. And when they want to jump,
when they want to go,
because they use those kids as the ties, and then they still go anyway.
And they still go.
Yes. Absolutely.
And till today, they are finding it hard to actually reunite with those kids.
Yes.
So true.
A lot of things.
You also mentioned a valid thing, Funlola, which is in the workplace. I know. Oh my God, that's, I think, is one of the, I think it's,
they will call you a
major, yes, they'll call you all sorts of names. It's because she doesn't have a man, you know, service height, why she's grumpy, you know,
exactly.
that's why she's, you know, and stuff like that. So I have also seen a few of my friends who are, you know, oh Lord, you know, like you said, I once had a driver when I was single, and you know, you tell him to come and do certain things. Even when I got married, actually, I had a driver, and maybe my stature, I don't know, but if I told him to do something, he would hesitate. But when my husband says, go and get this done,
even if you are the one paying your driver by yourself from your pocket.
Yes. So what is it that is so threatening? What is it? Because do they feel like, okay, you are not my, what was, for example, your staff, why would your staff disrespect you because you're, I'm trying to find the correlation.
I like to think of it as society. We have this mindset that when everyone is going this way, we will go that way, so that, you know, this is what they believe in. Even if you are not convinced deep down that this thing actually makes any sense.
The outliers have no place in this place.
So then they just follow that lane, and everyone, because take for example, the driver who wouldn't actually respect you because you're a woman actually has some beliefs that would make.
Celebrity said something about that with her driver. I can't remember.
I said what I said. Podcast.
I said yes, thank you, Jola.
She said something. I was like, okay,
like seriously, I'm paying your salary.
And you disrespect me for what reasons?
Yeah,
it's a very common. I mean, I know people that once, you know, I had a friend then that once I was into any issue, you know, that I would just call the person to come and, you know.
That's why marriage is sort of like an accomplishment.
It is an accomplishment.
It is. With the high rate of divorce, with the domestic violence.
Do we want to go to that?
I guess that's story for another day.
That's story for another day.
But it's an accomplishment when you do it right. And I don't agree it's an accomplishment, by the way, because marriage is the only institution where you don't get a certificate before even doing the work. On day one, you get your certificate. What kind of accomplishment is where? So can you go to university and get a certificate on day one? That's why someone with a PhD we say that's an accomplishment. But then yes, I've been married for a while now.
That is the accomplishment.
And now I think marriage is
that certificate is that certificate is for
certificate that you don't know. Thank you. I think marriage is I will call it an ongoing accomplishment. It's not an accomplishment period that I got married today and then you have accomplished something. You don't even know if you got married to your worst enemy or your worst nightmare.
I saw something strange yesterday. I think it was on Bella Niger, and you know, it was between this very rich guy and his newly wedded wife, and they were asking them questions about the recent accomplishment of the wife, and you know, they both wrote you know, what they believed was the recent accomplishment of the wife down. And you know, when they showed the placard, the answers, the man was like, a doctorate degree, question mark, or me, question mark. Do you know what the lady wrote? The guy, The husband was her own, and she just bagged her doctorate.
Because that's what we're brought up.
But sometimes you see it, and I also don't think that is.
And I think we're the ones contributing to that. That's what we're
because she lacks, you know, ambition, or she doesn't. I mean, some people like being married. They enjoy being married.
And that's great.
They think that you know, whatever they are able to achieve, it is, you know,
because you are able to. You know how the Bible says one will chase 1,000, but that's when you marry the right person. Because I've tasted singlehood, especially mature single. So it wasn't like I married in my 20s. I married way well into my 30s. So I've tasted being single even in my 30s. Because if you're even in your 20s. Okay, you can join this conversation, but we're talking about people that are seeing shege, and you don't really start to see the shege until you're over 30. But yes, I understand that people in their 20s also still see. But I've tasted being married as well. But I can only say marriage is sweeter only because I know I'm married to someone who supports me, someone who sees me also as, who doesn't see me as a slave or who doesn't see me as his appendage, but someone who also sees me as a human being who wants to also accomplish her goals. And the unfortunate thing is, what is the percentage of people who are actually in that kind of situation? We don't know, and that's the honest truth.
We don't know, and I don't think that people should, you know, be using touchlight to check.
Yes,
you know,
absolutely.
Yes. We should not assume.
And that's why I would not even call it an accomplishment, because we cannot touchlight is why I would not even call it an accomplishment period. For me. It is. Yes,
it is. Yes. And we congratulate you. I can see that
it was the day you were dreaming of all your life. What has changed? Do people respect you more now that you're married?
Okay, I think so.
Really?
Yes. So I think that, you know, now if I'm talking to someone, I say, oh, my husband will
call you. Hey, you've been waiting to use that sentence.
The feelings out of this one.
But there's something I use for myself.
What do you do when you need to use my husband?
I even tried to, because I got married late, so I'm too set.
Even let's not stop this late. Even that got married late. Who determines what is late?
It is not by
it's society. And then obviously, I know with women, your ovaries too. Yes. I know that.
So no, it is okay. Even abroad, you know, if someone is at 42 is late, you know, because I don't think about it.
They don't think about it as much as we do.
No, they don't put pressure.
Yes,
you know, to get married.
Thank you.
But if someone got married at the age of 42, it is late.
Yes,
it is late marriage.
And I won't lie, a lot of doctors now also tell you, you know, do it earlier because of your.
My children will get married at the age of 24.
You go and drag the man. You go and drag him.
I say this
like Yaboju.
Yes,
manifesting it. Yes,
I don't manifest.
Okay, I do.
So I'm not, you know, I'm not saying that people should not see marriage as, you know,
as a big deal. It is a big deal. I get it.
Yes. So we should not say that, oh, because I got married late, I should not, or I should.
Why should I be treated less like than a human? Because that's what I think. That's the bone of contention here. I don't mind you jubilating that you are married. It's good for you, fantastic. But why do we treat people? Because I've seen a real life situation where they ask somebody to stand up because she's single, for a married person to sit down. Real life, I saw it. I'm telling you, stand up. Let's.
I said that.
Yeah, I kind of use what's it called? I use stature.
You even have good stature. You have a married woman stature.
So that's what I use.
People like me, even as
I use it a lot.
So
I overuse it.
You don't have a fake ring you wear.
No, I don't.
I know someone who wears a fake ring.
Me that was very set in our ways before getting married. I'm not going to lie that it is very difficult for me, you know, to adjust to some things, because I'm actually used to, because you cannot cheat me, you cannot shout at me, you cannot call me, you know what I mean. So I am used to doing things, you know, in my own ways, and like she said, I've been able to develop mechanism, you know, to cope against, you know, things that that may come to. So it's sometimes difficult for me to say that, oh, I have a husband, you know, that should be talking to that plumber, or that should be talking to that carpenter, or that should be talking to,
Absolutely. And I mean, let's look at some of the, because I mean, we can look at some of the issues or some of the things that people say to you, because I think most times it starts from the family. The pressure starts from the family before you even get, and I think that if we're insulated within, because I think that's what I enjoyed. My mom and dad never said, when are you going to get married? Or, you know, but it's when you go, it's more my extended family, going to all those December parties where your cousins come, your cousins that are younger than you are getting married, or maybe your niece is now getting married, and it's like, no, I do. So that kind of helped me me. So
Yes.
when people on the outside said things that were disparaging.
Do you know, 16 years ago, 16 years ago,
16.
my cousin was getting married. She's just a year older than me. You know, she was getting married. And I had a relationship that I just broke then, that my grandmother knew the person,
Yes.
you know. So everybody was expecting that, oh, as she was getting married, I too will be getting married. Yeah. So I remember what my grandmother said. You know, each time I remember, I just laughed.
16
you
years.
know, 16 years ago. So she said, oh, everybody else came with their fiancés and their husbands.
Yes.
You didn't come with your own. So you can imagine how she never said anything, you know, to me after that. She didn't used to, I mean, except, you know, I believe that sometimes when people talk about things like that, it's from a good place. You know, when they ask you that, you know,
where is your husband? Because they know it can be lonely sometimes.
Yes.
So,
you know, you can imagine what must have been going through.
Year on year, you still come back to those family events and still with nobody.
But I like what Ronnie is trying to do. It's just for us to speak up against it.
Absolutely.
Justice for single,
I was,
single people, right? Because it's
people
good to
should
be married. But it's also good to be single and take your time. Because while you're single, you're prioritizing, you're actually doing the checks and just trying to know what's right for you. It's actually a process. Like you said, which one is Miss Marry?
Because that's why a lot of single people now go and mismarry.
You cannot determine who you will marry.
Exactly. No,
you just, I mean, yes, you can.
Yes.
But then you cannot determine how the outcome will be.
Yes, true.
So
but what I mean is that when your values align, see, there are some people that I could have been. Is it that you think that we were not, we didn't find, you know, or we were not seeing men? No, we did. We did. So, but when your values are not aligned, you know,
don't say because you're a certain age.
You know,
because there are red flags for real.
Yes. I just want to marry someone like no.
Absolutely.
I read a very touching story of a lady on Dank yesterday who got married at 24. And you know, when they were about to get married, they went for this fertility test.
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't saw that.
Wait, tell me the story.
I read to the end though, because I was
tell me the end. Yes.
So, you know, when they went for the fertility test, I came back fine. Her husband didn't. It had low, I think zero.
No sperm.
No sperm at all. He couldn't produce. So, but then she loved him, and so she married him. And then, you know, they got married, and he invited her to come to the UK to stay, and that was where everything shattered. And you know, he started to beat her up. Beating was not like beating. And then I think the one that broke the camel's back for her was when you know, he shattered the glass on her head, and that then
immediately.
You know, after several IVF. So, you know, I don't know what changed, because definitely they must have had something. See, that kind of man,
imagine if she was the one that had the fertility issue.
Yes.
It will never stay.
And there are a lot of, because I know even churches, they'll say, oh, women come out, you want to have children. We need to see more men coming out, because a lot of fertility issues are for men.
So someone, you know, I know someone whose story is almost like, So the guy, she was 28 when she got married to, or 26 when she got married to the man. And after about 2 years of trying, the guy was 10 years older. After about 2 years of trying, you know, they discovered that the guy did not have anything.
Wow.
Like zero, not redeemable, you know. So, and they went to see a doctor, a neurologist, and the person said, oh, it will only take God for you to conceive. You know, to conceive. This man took it very literal, you know, like, oh, okay, it will only take God. So he was going to church, you know. And there was nothing wrong with her. I think they said that one of her tubes, you know, was blocked or something. But nothing major, you know. And it could have cost her less than 300,000 naira. Getting a sperm donor and doing IUI, you know, and getting, you know, to complete your family. Nobody will know.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, but the guy agreed.
This guy said no. Now, 12 years after, she's now 40 years old. Even our own chances of getting
pregnant
is
so low. And that's the thing. That's the
and so I don't know why people cannot advocate for themselves.
And that's why.
You know, this lady lost her fallopian tube due to.
She's an idiot. I don't even pity her.
Who?
Pity her.
Well, I cannot
the lady on Dank, the lady on Dank, she's not like, can I take back my 7 years from him?
Unfortunately,
can I take back so that's like, in your 20s, I mean, we should actually advocate standing up for yourself.
I think that's even, I mean, we talked about fertility, but no, back to being single. I think it should be nobody's business what someone's marital status is. Whether you think it should be somebody's...
It is not.
It's not, exactly. Yeah, so that's why we're having this conversation. It should be nobody's. You should be able to just address you. And that's why, in fact, this happened recently. There was a lady, in fact, it was Dupe Olushola.
Yeah.
I love her. Everyone knows I love her very much. So there was a time I probably do that to women, especially women who are married. I want to see what their triggers are. I now said, Ms. So let me educate people today. MISS is when you're single.
Yeah.
Even though I don't know why they are demarcating, when they don't demarcate for a man. I don't know who is married here and who is not behind these cameras because they are Mr.
Yes.
Or a Miss, a woman, MISS. When she's mature and not married is MS, that's Miss. When she's married is MRS, that's Mrs. So sometimes because I don't know somebody's marital, I'll say Miss Dolakpo. That's how somebody came into my whatever. It is Mrs.
You know, wait, hold on.
I've seen that before. I've seen that before.
Have you happened to you when you call MTN customer service or your bank customer service? You know, say, how do we address you? Mrs. or Miss? And I'm
imagine,
like,
thank you.
Okay.
Just address me, thank you. Please, yes.
I mean, like, what's your business?
So I realized that even a lot of married people think that, even a lot of married women think they are better than single women.
Yeah.
A lot of married women feel they are better than single women.
That they were good enough or they are good
to
enough
have been picked.
To have been picked by a man. So people think that if we are not married, that there's something wrong.
There must be something wrong.
So don't call me by my name again. Now start
calling me Mrs. What?
You start calling me.
I don't even want
Mommy.
Thank you,
Mommy. This
Thank you.
Mrs.
Mommy that.
And that's even when they've been friends.
Some people on their social media bio, they write
Mrs. Kidiko's wife.
Yes. Let me shatter this table with Dr. Mrs. Dr. Mrs.
Doctor is even okay. Doctor, I mean, that's what I'm saying. At least now you earn that. This one you're still earning. Marriage, who told you that your 10-year-old marriage is going to be, it's still going to be there next tomorrow? You are still, and that's why I keep saying anyone who's happily married will never tension somebody who's single, because you know what is by warfare every day, living with this person, knowing this person. You just never know. There are people who have been married 15 years and they call it quits. So if you're married and you're happy, you know that a lot of workings is going behind it. So you would never look at a single person and say you're not. Because who told you your own marriage is going to last another 2 months? Nobody. So that's why when I see married people who tension single, I know they're unhappy. They are beating each other. Because if you are really happy, you know how much grace, how much work goes into being married, that you want that for somebody else, and you want them to be happy. But it's the unhappy ones that tension people.
And you appreciate them where they are.
Thank you. So that's why I say it's not an achievement. It is something you are achieving daily, because it can crash. So it's an achievement, but it can crash tomorrow. But your diploma, amen, will not crash in Jesus' name. But your PhD, you have achieved it. You have done the work. So somebody who dropped out of their PhD, will you say is an achievement? So what would you say? Marriage is a long-standing, is at the end I'll determine if it was happy.
See, people think that when you're not married,
you have a bad character.
How do we change that?
And they would.
And I know some of the best ladies.
Your weakness will now be magnified.
Yes.
You get it?
Yes.
Oh,
exactly. That's why she's not married. She's very proud. Yes. I remember when I was single, because I was very mouthy. And I'm still very mouthy.
And
I'm very open.
Yes. That's why she's not married.
Yes. We hear
you cannot keep a man. You're too haughty. Which man will put someone like you?
Meanwhile, I know people who have been married for 20 years. They've never swept their house before. They don't clean or boom. They are very rude.
Wait, is
it everyone has their own person?
That cleaning is the people character-wise. People who are very, 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 they are not supportive. They are not, sometimes I would look at myself and like,
Mother Jenny in-law.
I can cook.
I can clean, O'Shea, material,
everything.
Why am I not married?
I'm not married.
But I think that we should actually be climbing to the stage whereby we start to give single people the room to actually grow and take their time, because with the
pressure
and the rate
that's
of
what divorce and domestic violence. So some people, let me just be honest. I remember when I was 29. Oh my goodness. I felt as if rapture was going to happen. You knew me then. Okay, we didn't know each other then. Okay. I was like, this 30 must not meet me single.
Are you serious?
Yes, I know what.
I'm serious.
I was like, no, and funny enough, it wasn't like they were putting pressure on me, but I was just like, oh my God, because I've always said when I was younger that I want to have all my children before I turn 30. So I mean, at that time, you know, some people may have noticed I was dating somebody. Then I was like, hey, please, ask me, ask me. And he eventually asked me, but after he asked me to marry him, I just knew in my spirit that, hey, I'd rather see I've entered this 30. Life did not come to an end. And that's why I want every 30+ girl to tell yourself, life is not going to end because you are 30+ and you're single.
No.
Trust, take your time. Trust, because I've tasted mature singleness and I've tasted being married, and I know that, trust me, you will forget all of those lonely days. You forget all of these things that's putting pressure on you to get, because who's asking me now who they carry last? Who's asking who carry last? You know, so I want us as a society to do better. But anyway, it's an interesting conversation and I'm loving it, but we're going to do our agree or disagree segment. These stories we've heard so far are just deeply personal and sadly all too common. We'll continue unpacking them after this quick break, and when we return, we'll bring you our life hack of the day, helping you live smarter every single day. And right after that, we'll move into our agree or disagree segment. So we'll see you in a moment. Wow, welcome back. One of these days we have to show you behind the scenes, you know, footage of some of the things we get up to when you're watching the break. Because I mean, this topic I think is opened something in all of us here, and you know, it's something that we've dealt with firsthand. And I was talking to you guys earlier about how even single people will mock you. Yes. When you're a certain age. I remember I was working in an organization, and these girls that were maybe like about 6 years younger than me, it wasn't even as if they were 20 years younger. And these come here, auntie, never marry. And it's, I hate saying it, but now one of them is in her 30s and she's not married. And I'm like, wow, how does it feel? It's not easy. How can you don't even know your projection of your own future. You are mocking somebody else that they are not. Anyway, our agree or disagree segment is going to give glory to God. But there are people who are in their 40s and still are not married. And I want them to know that, look, live your life. But let's take an agree or disagree question. If it's your thing. Yeah. Here's a question on the agree or disagree segment. Society treats single men and single women differently, and it's unfair. Society treats single men and single women very differently, and it's unfair. Do you agree or disagree, Dolapo? You agree? You'd agree? Okay, I agree. Okay, Funla, let's start with you.
Okay, so like the first example that I mentioned, that someone was 42 years old, a man, and he was not married, you know, people were already starting to say that, oh, this is also a red flag. Yes. You know, this is a red flag. But we don't know the reason why the person, I have a brother who is, how old is he now? Maybe 42, and he's not married. You know, different things could be the reason. Yes. You know, maybe the person lost the person that they were supposed to get married to, and they are finding it difficult to. You know, because men are very, and I know people will say that, oh, you are irresponsible, you are sleeping around, even for men.
Yes.
You know, you are sleeping around, you are irresponsible, you don't want to marry.
You're dating married men.
No, I'm talking about
for men.
Man. For men, you say that, oh, maybe you are sleeping around, or maybe the person is stingy, you know, the person is controlling. So it's
Yeah, really.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I know that, yeah, there are men who face this. I know on Twitter as well, people are like, a man that's over 40 that's not married is a walking red flag.
Yes,
you
yes,
know. And
yes.
it's just that sometimes it's the case for men. Some of men I know, when they're over 40, is either they have commitment issues, you know, and they're quite enough. But I understand too that there are men just like the ones you mentioned.
If you are saying that for men, that it's because they lack commitment issue. So do you agree when people say that women too? Some women, wait, that some women, the reason why they are not married, you know, or they are not married even at advanced age is because they are picky.
Some women I've seen, but it's okay to be picky. No, it's okay to be picky. So I think it's okay. When someone tells you you are picky, please tell them yes, I am picky, and it's okay. So I know a lot of women that have been picky.
I used to tell them that you want me to
pick someone
thank
you, not to just pick weed. So I appreciate gay. You know, so that's my point. So I feel like yes, a lot of women are picky. Is why they just ended up because I now find that some of them when they're in their 30s, late 30s, they will oftentimes marry people that normally, if not the situation, are not go there with this man. But you know what? As you grow and you mature, some of those you must be tall, dark, and handsome start to fall off, and you realize that look, I just want a kind man.
But sometimes some people get lucky. You know,
some people get like you, Miss Bravo. You married your spec. Now you are married at 20. Hey-o. Not very many women can say that. You know, so for me, I agree that society treats men differently. They call a man, for example, like
Zaddy.
Zaddy, who is even aging. Society treats us as women differently. When you're aging, it's like go and sit down. But a man is like, oh, he's a Zaddy. Look at this Farouk Korea guy, Ojide Oba guy. Is he single?
The older he is
he single? He's single, right?
He's single, but he had been married 3 times or so.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a red flag.
So yeah, but anyway, that's my point. People do, and I think it is unfair. I think that it should be no one's business. If someone's, in fact, we should remove MRS. I know Funola likes the misses. Let's remove it.
I don't even use. I sometimes
let's remove it. Just like a mister is a mister.
Appreciate the fact that you are in a marriage.
Yes, you like that. Yes. I mean, if men are just mister, women should just be miss.
And I like
miss, whether you marry or not, be a miss. Nobody should care.
It's too late for that. Anyways.
Because it's unfair. It's not too late. We can
readdress you.
Okay.
What's your business with addressing me? Thank you for me.
Running will be like, I'm running.
Yes, that's the thing. Don't come and misses me. Don't come and auntie me. You know, call me Ronnie. And I do that across because I decide that when I get married, I'm going to also really stand for people who are single because I saw so much from single people, from younger people who forgot that they'll become older one day. You know, from pardon?
A lot of people don't know that I'm married. So some people still want to treat me with their
disrespect. You call your husband.
But like you said, I have my own mechanism of dealing with, you know, issues like that.
Yeah. And I wish, we have our wise words, but some mechanism I would say is, I want time I just to tell people off. If you tell me, at time when I was single, if you tell me, oh, you're not married, there was them I told somebody, well, you're not dead. It was someone that's much older. Jeez. Well, you're not dead. You know, you're not married. You're at your age. You're not dead at your age. You know, sometimes some people you just need to give them, or else they're just always going to make you depressed. There's some people I know who are depressed because of the different talk and things that people say about them.
But matters because it depends on the situation. When you're trying to get something and the person is like, you're saying, what if I'm not? What if I'm not? Why do you assume I am?
Absolutely.
I may not be.
Absolutely. And I hope that laws, for example, like visa laws will also be looked into for women who are single and who choose to be single. Not everybody wants to get married. I mean, we all need to recognize that. I have a friend who is not interested in getting married or having children.
Shege out there.
Exactly.
I think it's going to be the new thing for women to love themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, love yourself whether you're single or married. All right, we got our wise words on the web, and it says, singlehood is an opportunity to live life on your own terms and not apologize. You owe nobody an apology. Mandy Hale, thank you very much for that. It's an opportunity to live life, but a lot of us are not living, but just counting, when am I going to get married? And you don't know that you are losing your years.
Go for the holidays.
Go on holiday, go out with friends, find your other single friends.
Buy whatever cars you want to buy, buy a house, do whatever you want to do.
Do whatever you want in your, during the time you're single. Because when marriage comes and children come, truly is a big distraction on its own. And it really is tougher to achieve your purpose and your goals. So, that was an interesting conversation. One we need to keep having, to be honest. And in our homes our places of worship, in churches, mosques. Hey, you people are also one of the big facilitators of, you know, making single women feel as if they have diseases. Even in policy rooms, women, we must stick up when we're in the places where we can make laws. Let's speak up. You are married now, but you know what it means to being a single person. And they're making laws that are making single people look as if they have issues or that will not allow them to live their best life. Women, learn to speak up in rooms like that. And of course, on platforms like this, you know, being single is not a crime and certainly not a reason to be denied dignity, opportunity, or shelter, whether by choice or circumstance. Every woman deserves respect. Period. Thank you for joining us on The Big Conversation. I'm Runke Giwa Onofua. And remember, the conversation doesn't end here. Keep talking, keep listening, and keep challenging the status quo. Fantastic guest today, Omodolakpo Jayola. Thank you so much for coming and speaking to this conversation. It's been an amazing edition of The Big Conversation.